Hello everyone, welcome back. It has been a while since I have posted a video, but that was because I was a bit swamped with writing short stories for this fantasy world that one of my friends created, and honestly, I am so excited for all those books to come out. And also, I have been doing a bunch of paintings. Not all of them are successful, I would like to add, but I've been doing them. Maybe one of these days I'll just do a video where I paint while I tell you one of these stories, or better yet, I'll just make a new channel just completely dedicated to paintings. I'm not going to talk or anything, but it's just going to have all the calming music, all the zen, but the video is just going to be utter chaos, which is usually how I paint. So that might be fun. Anyway, this time I got myself a taro milk tea from this new boba place that just opened near me, except this time I didn't get the lychee jelly because this new place doesn't offer lychee jelly. So I'm just deducting a point for that. I am devastated. Anyway, taro milk tea with aloe jelly and mango jelly. I give it an 8.35 out of 10. So moving on, this episode is basically proof that the Greek pantheon is a giant family gathering with all the drama. It is the story of how two sons of Poseidon, not Percy Jackson, although I could talk about that series for hours on end. It is the story of how two sons of Poseidon tried to usurp Zeus's throne and try to become the kings of gods themselves. Unsuccessfully, I might add. So that being said, let's begin. Remember when I made this family tree of the Greek gods and I was kind of worried about it getting more and more complicated as the stories went on? We're starting to get to that point, and this is only one version of the story, so as the story goes. Poseidon, the Greek god of the seas, earthquakes, horses, all that fun stuff. He has a couple children called the Aloedi. I call them children, but the Aloedi are essentially giants that Poseidon had with this mortal woman. Her name was Iphimedia. She was a princess in Thessaly, but honestly, a mortal woman giving birth to giants just sounds painful. But anyway, she was married to King Aleous, who himself was a son of Poseidon, but later Iphimedia falls in love with Poseidon. Which, if you think about it, it's kind of like her falling in love with her own father-in-law. But I digress. So whenever she wanted to visit Poseidon, she would go to the beach, sit by the shore, and play with the water until Poseidon would come and visit her. And eventually, things get a bit heated between the two of them, and Iphimedia has two sons with Poseidon. They were twin giants, the Aloedi. The giants were called Otis and Ephialtes. The two brothers, they did have a stepmother later on. Her name was Erebia. Like any giants, the two of them had this immense strength, and they were giant, like 12 feet tall, even as young kids. And even when they were younger, their strength itself was a threat to the Olympian gods. Now, as the twin giants grew up, they fell in love, which seems kind of normal, except Otis falls for Artemis and Ephialtes falls for Hera. They see the Olympian gods and they think of a way to get their quote-unquote love. And their brilliant plan was to storm Mount Olympus. The Greek gods were not going to take this down lightly, so they get into a fight with the giants. During the battle, Ares, the Greek god of war, he gets kidnapped by the twin giants, and they kind of confine Ares in a jar, which I feel like it's more insulting and more wounding to Ares' pride, if I'm being honest. But anyway, they stuck Ares in a jar, and the longer Ares stayed in that jar, the weaker he became. He was in that jar for almost an entire year. When the battle kept dragging on and on, the Olympian gods and the twin brothers, they come to a standstill and they begin to negotiate, kind of like a hostage exchange situation. The Greek gods are like, look guys, you gotta give us our god of war back. And the twin brothers go, absolutely not. We are doing this for love. So you gotta give us the love of our lives first. The Greek gods, they always have a trick up their sleeve. So they do a hostage exchange They agreed to exchange Artemis for Ares, but when the exchange was done, now the two brothers start to fight among themselves. Because you see, Otis loved Artemis and Ephialtes loved Hera. And with this exchange, only Otis seemed to benefit, so Ephialtes became salty. He was envious of his own brother's happiness, so he fought with his brother. While the two brothers fought amongst themselves, Artemis was just there in the distance. She transforms herself into a doe and goes about, escaping and skipping into the woods. That brings the two brothers back to their senses. They don't want to let Artemis go, so they try not to let Artemis run away. And they ready their spears. And when the doe, Artemis in doe form, comes in between the two giants, they throw the spears at the exact same time. But in that moment, the doe vanishes and the spear pierces the two brothers. And with that, the two brothers die. That is one version of the story. Another version of the story says that after a year of Ares being trapped in the jar, the stepmother of the twin giants, Arabia, she tells Hermes where the brothers hid Ares. Hermes relays that message to the other gods and they were able to rescue Ares. And Otis and Ephialtes, the twin giants, they were then killed by Apollo. It was said that when Apollo killed the brothers, they were still considered to be kids. Even as kids, they were able to go toe to toe with the gods. So imagine how much damage they could have done if they were fully grown. So they were killed by Apollo. When they die and they go down there to Hades, he punishes the two brothers by tying them to a pillar with serpents. They were permanently facing away from each other, and for eternity, they were said to be tormented by the shrieks of owls. Given the grand scheme of punishments that is dealt out by Greek gods, this punishment kind of seems a bit mild. That being said, the moral of the story? Just don't go fighting with the gods. Why would you do that? Anyway, that's all for today. Until next time, for the next episode where we will be talking about Icarus, sweet dreams, good night.